have a few board members that would like to get sworn in, and we're going to go ahead and do those oaths of office right now.
We're going to start with Miss Chelsea Crump, so if you would come to the front, please. Yes, right there's good. If you would, just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Chelsea Crump,
I, Chelsea Crump,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the State of Indiana.
and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute
I will faithfully execute
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as member of the Board
as member of the Board
of School Trustees of Greater Clark County Schools.
of School Trustees of Greater Clark County Schools.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, and if you would, just sign there on the line right above your name. Congratulations on your election. Mr. Keith Freeman. That's perfect. All right, if you would just repeat after me. I, Keith Freeman,
I, Keith Freeman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the State of Indiana.
and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute
I will faithfully execute
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as member of the Board
as member of the Board
of School Trustees
of School Trustees
of Greater Clark County Schools.
of Greater Clark County Schools.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, if you would, just sign the line above your name. Congratulations on your election. All right, Ms. Katie Hutchinson. All right, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kathleen Hutchinson,
I, Kathleen Hutchinson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the State of Indiana.
and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute
I will faithfully execute
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as member of the Board
as member of the Board
of School of Trustees
of School of Trustees
of Greater Clark County Schools.
of Greater Clark County Schools.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, you would sign the line above your name. And congratulations on your election. Ms. Teresa Perkins.
This is my 13th year. Actually, only 13th.
Okay, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Teresa Perkins,
I, Teresa Perkins,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of
of the
America,
United States of America,
the Constitution
the Constitution
of
of
the State of Indiana, and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the State of Indiana.
and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute
I will faithfully execute
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as member of the Board
as member of the Board
of School Trustees
of School Trustees
of Greater Clark County Schools.
of Greater Clark County Schools.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, if you would just sign the line above your name.
Okay.
And congratulations on your reelection.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item will be the nomination of the board officers. Oh, okay. Well, we do have to call Oh, okay, let's do that. Everybody's here. We can do that first, or we can say whatever you want to do. Anyway, please stand for me, said pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we have to get our officers straight. First, be the president. Lord, do I have a nomination?
Yes. I would like to nominate John Buckwalter for president. I would like to second that nomination.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Or other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Okay. Next, move this vice president. Do we have a nomination?
Yes, I would like to nominate Teresa Perkins for vice president.
I will second that. Do we have any other nomination? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Next will be our secretary, and I would like to nominate Keith Freeman for secretary.
I'd like to second that.
Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. All right. Let's keep it here. So, next we have our CFO and deputy treasurer appointments. At this point, our CFO appointment is Laura Huberger.
We take them together.
Okay.
We take all of them together.
Yeah, and then that's our treasurer, and Jennifer Cato as the deputy treasurer. I would like to nominate the board. Do I have a second? I'll second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Good. Good deal. Moving along. The first item would be the approval of the agenda as presented. I would like to move that we do approve that. Board, might I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Next item would be the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, and I would like to move that we do approve those. If we could please have a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's keep on going. Right now, there are no public comments. Goal strategies, no. The consent agenda, board, we've had some time to take a look at it. Do I have a motion?
A motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Stain. Any questions or comments from anyone regarding any item on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Okay, next. Get the building, if you don't mind.
I would love to. Looks like Clark County Sheriff's Office gifted Greater Clark County Schools $2,000 for the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, as well as Superior Veneer with Wildwood received gifted $501. Indianapolis Colts Foundation, Charlestown High School, $2,000 for AEDs. Those are so important. Brett Livers, $600 for next gen tuition, and Jeffersonville FOP Lodge, $2,000. Donation to 8th grade field trip for Washington DC. I've been on that trip. Bless those teachers. Education Foundation has made quite a bit of contribution for special needs. Endowment agreement has some car tags, and then we have another $2,000 from Independence Television Co. WDRB for WJHI. I move that we accept these gifts to the building in the amount of $11,307.29.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Any questions or comments?
Always glad to get money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. All right, let's move right along to action item, resolution for supplemental payments. Ms. Helen, how are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good. The supplemental pay presented is to allow payment to the teacher listed for the specific duty. The payment has been discussed with Samantha Pierce, GCEA president.
Okay, we're going to have a motion for the approval of the supplemental payments as presented. I'll make that motion. Thank you, Mr. McCombs. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Stanton. Any questions or comments for Ms. Felton? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay, conflict of interest disclosure.
Okay, members of the Greater Clark County Board of School Trustees are required to complete and file a conflict of interest disclosure statement each year that sets out any relationship or interest the member has with the school corporation. Indiana code requires that the completed statement be submitted to the board and approved by a public vote without the vote of the person making the disclosure. With the board's approval, you can vote to approve all statements together with an acknowledgement for the record and minutes that each member abstains from voting on his or her own statement.
Okay, Board, do I have a motion for that approval of conflict of interest disclosure?
I move that we approve all conflicts of interest disclosure, understanding that we each abstain from our vote.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any other questions or comments regarding that? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Out front media. All right, Board, many of you may or may not know that we own a billboard on the federal property. The lease agreement with Outfront Media was up November 2024. So in renegotiating with them, we came to an agreement that they would continue to pay us $3,000 a year to use that, and lease that billboard. We did get one extra concession or item out of them, is that they would allow us to do an advertisement on the billboard in February and March of each year, for which we want to use for obviously school registration and recruitment and that kind of thing. So asking the board to approve this agreement with Outfront Media. Board, I move that we approve the agreement with Outfront Media. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Any questions or comments for Mr. Lawson?
Couldn't work in another caveat to know what the school corporation should advertise on.
Well, no, we try to get more money out of them too, but based on their revenue and what they were bringing in with that billboard versus what they were paying us. But we were able to at least say, hey, can we have a couple months of advertising on the billboard? Yeah, so, good deal. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment between Greater Clark and the school Outfront, or Greater Clark County Schools and Outfront Media, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay, revised 24-25 school calendar. Yep, Board, as you know, last week was an adventure weather-wise, and you had to cancel a whole week of school because the weather was certainly different and a surprise. And so we've had to make some adjustments with the calendar. One of those is to make February 17th a makeup day. February 17th was added to the calendar, President's Day, last year when we did the calendar for this year. So it makes sense to go ahead and do that as a makeup day. And then Tuesday, May 6th is election day, but there really aren't any elections this year in May. So that makes sense to make that a makeup day. And we trying to stay away from Oaks Day. And also stay away from spring break. And then May 22nd is a day, adding a day after the original calendar ended. There's that Friday in between the last day of school and graduation that we had in the calendar that we can use as a makeup day. But in doing that, I'm going to ask the board to approve us moving the graduation dates a little bit, just moving them back one day. And also changing a little bit of the rotation. One of the things we've been working on as a district with Jeff High's graduation, with their enrollment growing, their graduation numbers growing, is just, do we have the space to accommodate that at Jeff High's gym? As you all know, it's been pretty packed in there the last 2 or 3 years. And so we've been investigating potentially having graduation over at the fairgrounds, like all the JPS schools, or a different venue. What we've been told is that Sundays are the days. Sunday is the day that JPS does not use the fairgrounds for their graduation. So we're looking at that as a potential solution. But either way, we would like to move Jeff High's graduation to that Sunday, Memorial Day weekend. And the thought process behind that is
Number one, less traffic, and hopefully we can get, if we end up having to have it at Jeff High, we can, Daniel can provide buses where we can transport parents and families from Meyer or rural King parking lots over to Jeff High. And there'd be less traffic on Sunday at 1 o'clock versus Saturday or Friday or something of that nature. The problem we're running into is just the construction going on in the parking. It's going to be a real challenge to have it Jeff High for the next couple of years because of the construction of that. So we're asking, obviously for those makeup days to be approved by the board, but also adjust the graduation calendar to where New Washington would be Saturday, May 24th at 10 a.m. Charleston High School would be Saturday, May 24th at 1 p.m. And then Jeff High would be Sunday, May 25th, and we haven't determined the time yet. That depends on the location. But it would definitely be on that Sunday, May 25th. So really it's just moving it a day.
Board, do I have a motion for that approval of the revised 24-25 school calendar?
I'm going to approve the revised calendar.
Thank you, Ms. Atkinson. Do I have a second? I'll second.
We'll add, what we're working, obviously, we were a little surprised by the fact that the snowstorm moved in during Christmas break that knocked us out of school for the whole week. One of the reasons that we just closed school down Thursday, right, is because of our K-1-2 students and Chromebooks and really not being trained on how to do synchronous learning. If you recall, the state allows for 3 asynchronous days. After 3, it has to go to synchronous. We just didn't feel comfortable on Thursday and Friday trying to do that with our kindergarten through first grade. But moving forward, now that we're back in school and they've been trained and they're getting their Chromebook on, we feel comfortable in doing synchronous days if we have to miss any more.
And Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday also.
Yeah, which sounds like.
Yeah, it's early, that's all.
So just know that if we get more bad weather, the plan would be to do synchronous learning in K through 12. Moving forward, we won't have to add makeup days.
Any other comments?
That's going to be my question,
Okay.
because we could still have more.
Right. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Okay, new school boundary maps. This sounds exciting.
Well, let me preface this by saying that it is exciting because part of the reason we're having to look at this is, we're going to open a new elementary school in Jeffersonville, Pike Elementary. So it's necessitated us taking a look at, attendance lines, boundary lines for all of our elementaries in Jeffersonville. And Karen and Daniel spent probably the last 6 to 8 months looking at this, how to make it best in terms of the numbers. And so I'm going to turn it over to them. They're the experts in this at this point.
Great, I'm going to read our bullet points, but then your follow-up questions, if you have any routing questions, I know Daniel can best answer those. And then I've done a lot of work in just trying to balance out the demographics and things like that so I could answer some of those. Okay, so the main bullet points are this proposed map would change the boundary lines for Franklin Square, North Haven, Parkwood, Pike, and Riverside. We took this opportunity, since everything with Pike's going to be new next year, honestly, if you review demographics, school districts could redistrict all the time, right? But you try to hold that off for when the demographics and the needs and the things really call for it. And it really does call for it for several reasons for each building. So the first thing is with Franklin Square, they are at capacity, if not over. Their music class is not able to have, they don't even have a music room anymore. So they've had to bounce that in and out of a classroom. And we don't have any room to grow our preschool programming there. So this plan effectively reduces their overall enrollment to give them more room to grow again. It also allows capacity not only to send some neighborhoods to other schools, but it also adds capacity for them to have their own ELL program. This would give them roughly 40-something ELL students, And Dr. Hartless could tell you that the federal government rules on ELL magnet schools. Those are meant to be for when there's no other way to service them. But honestly, our ELL numbers have grown so much in Jeffersonville that every school could have a program of 40 to 100 students in every school. So the demographics of where those families are choosing to live really do not call for a magnet program anymore. So this pulls enough away to reduce their overall enrollment and still receive their ELL students back. For North Haven, because they have been our main ELL magnet program, so to speak, in Jeffersonville, this allows those ELL students to go back to their home schools. But then we expanded their borders to their overall enrollment would be much lower if they didn't have the ELL students coming in. So we were able to expand their borders to receive some of the Franklin Square students and then some students from the current Wilson lines. And those current Wilson lines are really a couple of neighborhoods that I know Daniel probably gets a lot of requests anyway. There's that area kind of wants to go one way or the other. So some of those families should be happy that they're getting to go to North Haven because they've requested it in the past. So that's in an area. Although we recognize some would be bummed because they thought they were going to go to the brand new building. So probably some mixed emotions in that piece. With Parkwood, it varied just a very small sliver. It allowed Daniel to clean up a routing issue where there's a little bit on their boundary line, just a little bit crosses that I-65 corridor, and it really affects 13 students. So only 13 students there are going to be getting a letter saying that their school will be changed. And so it's a very small number there. It's not much at all at Parkwood. For Pike, it extends their current TJ Wilson. We've taken off some from the Wilson side. Some will go to Riverside and some will go to North Haven. But we've added from the traditional Spring Hill neighborhoods that were merged into Franklin Square, we've added some down in that region to expand out that they're balanced out to be about where we were hoping Pike would be anyway. So it's just a different kind of shave off from one area and add on to another. And then the final piece is on Riverside. Once we took one side of 10th Street off of Franklin Square was too low. So we needed to expand them into where Riverside touches their edges. So they've captured a little bit of Riverside to come that way. And it helps routing to keep them on one side of 10th Street. But we've expanded Riverside near the area that touches Capitol Hills, where it used to be a big field and now there's a neighborhood being built there. I think there's about 50 homes being built there. Those people, as they have moved in, they think they go to Riverside anyway. Geographically, it just makes more sense. And so it was an opportunity to kind of just go ahead and pull them into Riverside anyway. So those were the key pieces, and Riverside will also be able to receive their ELL students and have their own program next year with this map as well. So I think those were the main points. Is there any other routing issue that you wanted to add into that? Okay.
Sorry. I don't want to come up here because I don't ever correct Mark, but one thing he said, me and her have been working on it for a month. Really honestly, I've been coloring maps and she's been doing most of the work. But when it comes to redistricting, at the end of the day, I could sit back and I could look at it from transportation and say, this is the perfect world that would work for transportation. Logistics only, here's all the answers. She could come up with the ratio, the demographics, and this is perfect for me. So then at the end of the day, we just combine them both, and that's what we've come up with. This works great. Like she had said, for transportation-wise, on the logistics, we try to look at the boundaries to where to split main roads, so we're not having, of course, we don't have anybody cross on any kind of anything more than 2 lane, things like that. Those basically just clean up. They're not perfect as far as transportation-wise. I mean, if you ask me, we just all pick up one long line and be done with it. But that is a very well thought out. She's put a lot of work into it. The demographics balance out. I mean, to me, that boundary and those maps there just provide a well-rounded Jeffersonville at the end of the day that's safer for the kids.
I think, just to add, the disclaimer in all this is anytime you change something, some people are going to be unhappy about it. I think in this situation, we've done the best we could in terms of making the fewest people possible unhappy. But there will be some people that were maybe planning on their child attending the new Pike Elementary that are now going to have to go to a different school with this. With the ELL, homeschool, sending them to their home schools. There may be some parents that are upset about it, that their child maybe was going to go to North Haven because there are a lot of parents in that area that love North Haven, but now they may not, they may go to their home school or because other family members are on there, so you are going to hear some of that. So I just want to make you aware of it.
Yeah, to throw that, that's one thing, I'll sit down. But transportation for ELL, it's a huge, this part here, having the ELL class, for one, in your homeschool. That's just great. They're around with their friends, their neighbors. But logistically, it helps us a lot because right now, we're going to different areas. We're going out to, we're going downtown Jeff to pick up a kid to go to Parkwood. We're just going everywhere. And this would clean up a lot of the routes as far as our ELL, this would allow us to basically eliminate our ELL routes. We're still going to transport the same amount of students, we're going to transport them closer. That'll give them, believe it or not, 6 minutes is a lot of time in transportation. So if we can gain them 6 minutes, that's a huge difference for them.
Karen, you want to talk about the timeline on
Yes.
grandfathering some, grandfathering kids in and transportation and
So
stuff?
it would be hard to guarantee that all kids can be grandfathered in, just because when you do something like this, we're shifting enrollment to another building, and if we allowed everyone to stay, then we'd have an enrollment problem in another way. So, but what we are, anyone that is being assigned to a different school than the school that they're attending now, first of all, if they were on a transfer, they are getting to stay. And as long as they're going to get a letter that says, hey, you might have seen this map published, but you're on a transfer, and as long as you're staying, you're meeting your end of the deal with attendance and behavior, because we have some stipulations with that, then they're going to get to stay. So they'll get a letter that kind of lets them get right there. But if they do not have an official transfer, not an ELL transfer, because they're all, transferred for that reason, then they will get the offer that if they can provide their own transportation, then we're giving, I'm calling it a special transfer form, where typically when you want to transfer, you have to personally go to that home school and tell them, I do not wish to attend here. We get a signature. We've always done that so we can give that home school the opportunity to say, well, what's going on? Can I convince you otherwise? And that does work sometimes. They'll take a tour of the school and they'll realize, oh, I don't know what I thought, but I'm fine to stay here. On this, they're going to get a special transfer request where we're not making them do that. We're kind of doing this to them, so we want to keep them from that step. And they'll let us know, I can provide my own transportation next year and we'd like to stay. I want to say we'll be able to accept 100% of those, but it also just depends on, the principal has to kind of watch those rolling in and watch the numbers that we're getting them. Most of those should be able to be accepted, but we're cutting out that step of them having to go to the homeschool, because this is something we're doing to them, so to speak. But they have to also give us that commitment by February 21st. So upon your approval, we will start mailing letters tomorrow. So hopefully they'll hit mailboxes early next week. And then they'll have about a little over 3 weeks to kind of make that decision. But we will say, if you can't make that decision that soon, you'll just have to follow the traditional request later. I know that I would have to, within those 3 weeks, kind of work with my family members, my child care village, to say, can we pull this off? That gives them a few weeks to try to work on a plan. And if they just can't get it done in that time, they can still apply for a transfer later. We just have to have those numbers of who's going to stay so that we can adequately adjust our teachers, because 26 kids, that's a teacher. Well, and a couple of these were shifting 100 kids. So if 26 of those decide to stay, instead of adding a teacher at this school, we'll keep a teacher at this school. So it's important for us to give them a deadline on that piece. I want to say we'll be able to say yes to 100%, but I cannot promise, because at least one of our schools were increasing the enrollment, or 2 of them were increasing their enrollment. So if they're edged too close to us having enough room for them, then we will have to say no. But we want to be able to honor for as many that can provide their own transportation. And we know that that's difficult for a lot of families to do. So.
Okay, thank you. We're going to have a motion for the approval of this district.
Most of them approved for the district maps.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Thank you, Mr. Perkins. So we have a motion and a second. I know there's some comment, so have at it.
On the, I'm looking at your projected grade level sizes.
Yes.
Do you see any issues there as far as dividing them up in groups of 26?
In every school right now, there's always like that one cohort that's larger. And I'll tell you, principals base the decision on whether to go ahead and have a split classroom on the behaviors of that cohort, all the
Right.
needs or the challenges of that cohort. I don't see anything out of the norm that doesn't already exist. So,
Thanks. I didn't either.
And I think too, one thing to know, any school where a child might be going, be moving to another school, all of those schools have had significant renovation to them. I mean, so it's not like we're really you're not gonna get to go to the new school. There's, we've done a lot of Riverside, we've done a lot, Parkwood, obviously, North Haven, the same. So they're solid schools.
oh, yes, yes.
And I will tell you, we're projecting a little bit, like, the question may be, why are you taking so many kids out front of the square? Well, I mean, what we're seeing is some of the homes down in that area are starting to turn over. The younger families are moving in. Obviously, that's an increased enrollment there eventually. And then also, we see at Pike, we have more room than 814 students there, but we also know, they're building 250 homes out there by Hidden Lakes, that area, which would be part of Pike's attendance area. So we're trying to project forward a little bit too.
Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor of the approval of the new school boundary maps for the presented schools, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, our resolution designates superintendent, present to you, call it Dr. Harper.
Okay, good evening, board. As you know, we are constantly trying to do any and everything we can to recruit, retain new teachers to our district. And so years ago, it used to be that we worked very closely with just local universities. And now we are in a landscape in the field of education that we have lots of online programs from all over the country that contact us, that may have a student enrolled in their program that went to one of our schools, and when it's time for student teaching, they want to come back to us. A lot of times, I'll start getting a lot of contacts early, mid-December. We're getting ready to go on break. We're not going to have a board meeting for a while. So this is just a resolution that we can go ahead and sign the agreements. We always make sure that we have an agreement in our MOU that outlines this is a responsibility of Greater Clark, this is a responsibility of the university. There's never money involved in that. And so we just would like to ask your permission to do that.
Board, I move that they approve the resolution to designate the superintendent or superintendent designee to sign student teaching affiliation agreements. Could I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments for Dr. Hartledge? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained. All right, moving to external facility agreement.
Yes, board, as you know, we take the safety of our students as a very top priority and responsibility. And this is a facility usage agreement for our bowling team. When they go out to facilities, obviously we don't have our bowling lanes within our schools. So in order for us to have clubs and teams, they have to go out to outside facilities. And this is an agreement between Greater Clark. It's a process we follow to make sure that the facility agrees and signs off that their employees, who our students may have some interaction with when they're going out to have these practices, that they have followed safety background checks similar to what we require of our Greater Clark staff. So this is between the strike and spare that outlines responsibilities related to the compliance of the Indiana Code that states that. And they are a family-friendly entertainment center with a bowling alley in Clarksville, Indiana. And they are offering their location to our bowling teams to practice for a reduced reduced rate of $5 per enrollment.
Okay. Board, do I have a motion for that approval of the external facilities usage agreement between Greater Clark and Striking Spare for practice competition space for Greater Clark County School bowling team?
I move.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchins. Second, please. Thank you, Ms. Mustaney. Any questions or comments for Dr. Hartley? I'm just grateful that we're doing this and staying up on that. That's critical for our kiddos. So, okay, no other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Okay, Valerie Milholland. Is it Milholland?
Yes, Valerie is an art therapist. She's actually worked with our students in the past, and she works to specialize in creative development in our students. She's worked with our high ability students. We sought Indiana Arts Council grants, and she's paid that, which has covered her services in the past. So she will be leading 2 days of workshops on February 4th and 5th for our intermediate high ability students in creating multimedia art based on the setting of Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. And her fee is $500 per day for a total of $1,000, and this will be paid for with the high ability grant.
Board, do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Any questions or comments for Dr. Hartledge regarding this? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Good deal. Okay.
Good evening, board. Welcome to the new board member. Congratulations to everybody who won their elections. I'm very pleased, and you're going to be hearing a lot from me here tonight, so hope you're ready.
You have 3 minutes.
Here we go. This is the outline for the scope of work for Jeff High Cafeteria remodel. We're asking permission to advertise for the RFP for this remodel that includes the purchase and installation of new furniture and decor in phase 2 of the Jeff High Cafeteria. If you recall, we did all of the kitchen area and the flooring and everything. And we worked really hard and diligently to get done by the beginning of school. To give it time now, we're ready for phase 2, which is the outside where the students will be seated. It's an all-encompassing learning environment, about a place for the students to also study and eat. That's the promotion that we're trying to make with all of our cafeterias, where there's more, where they utilize that more than just a cafeteria. We anticipate returning to the board to accept the recommendation of a successful bidder to be presented at February 11th board meeting. So it's my recommendation that the Board of Trustees grant permission to advertise the Jeff High Cafeteria Project Phase 2.
Board, do I have a motion for that approval?
I move that we approve the project phase 2.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Are there any questions at all? I know we have to spend down that money. We
Yes,
can't
you do.
keep too much in there, so, okay.
July 20th, we'll go through all of those finances, so that way you'll understand as a new member.
That's
what
what
the
we're excited
requirements are.
I'm excited about that.
You're excited about that? At our regular board meeting, we'll have that, and, you know, work sessions reserved for something different, but I intend to go through all of that, so that way you understand why it's important to me that you understand why.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving right along. Board comments.
Echo what Boris did. Congratulations to Chelsea, and or welcome to Chelsea. Congratulations to everybody else that's returning. It's been a fun few years, and we're going to continue on.
Yes, welcome Chelsea. Congratulations. Congratulations to me. Hope everybody stayed safe in the snow. Thanks for moving those days. Looking forward to synchronous learning if we have any more options.
Thank you, everybody. I'm excited to be here and learn and kind of just hopefully, you know, help our community and Greater Clark. Yeah. Again, welcome, Chelsea. Congratulations to Teresa and Keith and
Katie, Teresa, and myself. Now, rounding out the board, I'm ready for my second term, ready to do some exciting things.
Good deal. Good deal. Ms. Perkins?
Well, I look forward to serving on this board with the rest of these board members. Don't know you yet, Chelsea, but I hear great things about you and your leadership and how much you care about our school system. So, and these other people here that got elected, they're outstanding, and I really appreciate their work for our kids. Chelsea, just one little thing about, I remember I told Tammy this when she came on the board, because every time she called me, she said, I'm new and I don't know, and I'm new. And I told her that there are no stupid questions. We're all learning still, so never hesitate to ask one of us, or, Renee knows everything. So, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll just echo that. You all, it's awesome. And Chelsea, I'll just tell you this, that if you ever question yourself, which I don't think you probably, everybody does, I guess, but the one thing I was told when I went to teach IEPUI, I was nervous because there were certain things I didn't know. And I told a really good friend of mine, I just don't get this. I'm not sure, I don't know. He goes, man, they didn't hire you for what you don't know. They hired you for what you know. And that's why you were elected. And you proved that. So that's really awesome. We're grateful that you won good service to the board. So I also want to thank the board for having confidence in me to be another year to do this. And we've got a lot of things on our plate. I feel pretty invested in it. I'm grateful for you all as a board member. Professor Freeman.
I never dress like
I've
this.
been dying to say that the entire time. Just way cool. Way cool. In fact, I went and got your picture, not for any other reason, but to show it to you every now and then. Freak you out. Like, I don't know that dude. Anyway, that's all I've got to say.
That's enough.
It is plenty. I'm sorry. No caffeine. I'm getting a decaf now, so.
Well, I want to congratulate the returning board members that were re-elected. Congratulations to Chelsea for joining us. I'm going to add one more thing to your plate tonight in terms of exciting news, is that no one petitioned or remonstrated with New Elementary that we want to build on Salem Mill Road, so that project really, I mean, when you think back 5 or 6 years ago, quite amazing. When you look at what's going to happen over the next 3 to 4 years in terms of opening 2 elementaries this coming summer, opening Parkwood and an auditorium the following summer, and now potentially, opening an elementary and a middle school the summer of 27. So it is quite an achievement for the district and for all of us sitting here working together to get this done, and all the people sitting over there. The support from the community to allow us to get this done. So that's great news I wanted to share with everyone. Also, just on the state legislative session that opened up, here recently, 2 things we're really paying close attention to. Obviously, school funding revenues were lower, so and I would ask all of you to watch that. What is the school funding budget? How much are they going to increase it? What are they going to do with school funding? Pay close attention over the next few days, because that'll come out, I think, probably Thursday, I believe is what I'm hearing from the governor will announce his budget. And then the other thing is property taxes. I mean, everyone wants to pay lower property taxes. I do. Everybody sitting in this room wants to pay lower property taxes. But I think we all should be concerned about whatever property tax proposals are announced, what does it do to the local entities, such as school districts, cities, towns, police, fire, and all those entities, because it could have a profound negative impact on us. So I think we have to ask our legislators, all right, you want to cut property taxes and this is your plan, but what's it going to do to the local entities? And how are you going to replace that revenue that's laws. So, okay.
I have one other thing.
Sure.
I'd like to thank our partners out here for some really very nice Christmas greetings. We appreciate that. And thanks for being our partners and part of our family. We truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay, I need a final motion. Second.
I almost forgot, it's been so long.
I second it.
Hey, all right, all in favor?
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Opposed? All right, there we go.
No, wait.
We got one more. Yeah.
It's just-
Instead of waiting, we're gonna talk
We're going to call the fiscal indicator board of finance meeting to order. If you all are,
Wanting to save yourselves, leave now.
no, that's not true. If you may adjourn if you'd like.
Your daughter has to stay. I can see it in his face.
Yeah, we already opened it.
This is, believe it or not, the only required thing I have to do every year is have, I know. But, it's a Board of Finance meeting, it is to be held, after the first Monday of January, like the first designated board. So, the Board of Finance meeting is now been open, and you do have to, just like your regular board, elect a president and secretary to the Board of Finance. And it is an Indiana State Code requirement, and every board, school board has to do that. And generally, whenever, we talk finance at every meeting. So that's why we really generally like to call Board of Finance meeting. And so therefore, since we talk finance, generally boards in the state of Indiana elect their elected president and secretary of the current board. So that way all of that can be done at any time. Because we believe in that open discussion about our finances in this district, and every district pretty much takes that position. So, Mr. President of the Greater Clark County School Board, John Buckwalter, I will be asking you to ask for nominations for the board president and secretary for the Board of Finance.
Okay, could I, nomination for,
We can be other people.
okay, and it was for the, tell me
For
again.
the board, for the president and the secretary of the board of finance.
Board president and secretary for the Board of Finance. Can I have nominations for? Don Keith.
I second.
Right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, any questions, comments, or any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. All right, I got you, I'll remember that tonight.
Yeah. It's coming back then.
Yeah.
Further, it is also required at the Board of Finance meeting to disclose to the entire board two very important things. We review our policy 6144 and our investments and depositories. And finally, it is at this time I am also required to present to you fiscal indicators as put on by the Distressed Unit Appeals Board. All schools are required to present that to their boards so you can analyze the fiscal position that we have been in. Lucky for us, we do this frequently because that has become a very big focal point in order for us to do what we've accomplished over the past 5 years. So The first is policy 6144, just to note that we have not changed anything in that. It requires the superintendent designate provide the board of finance the investment policy, which is in your packet. It states in part that the board of trustees authorizes the treasurer or deputy treasurer to make investments of available funds from several funds of the school corporation. The district currently does not need to participate in an investment program because we do get a fabulous interest rate on our money market accounts that we have within our bank. So we do see a nice interest return, better than you're investing. So maybe one day we'll be in a position where we will have that cash availability and those rates go up. We would look into that, and of course, I would disclose that to you at any given board meeting if that opportunity came along. So there's no action on this. This is just information only regarding that policy. The second item that's required to be presented at this meeting is a list of all of our investments and depositories, which is basically our bank accounts. So all of our bank accounts you have been provided inside your packet. Every bank account that is held within our office and our school buildings, which is your little treasurer accounts, your extracurricular accounting accounts for the school building level treasurer. So you're welcome to see where our building is, who is providing those great interest rates and services. And we do get a great service from Durham American, as you can see. We do have courier pickups, so that way, especially when the weather's bad, that's fantastic for them that they come and get those depositories for us. So clearly you can tell which ones are ours and which ones are your schools. Those are just bank balances. That does not include any outstanding checks or any purchase orders that they'd be obligated to. This is not by fund, this is simply by the checking account. And that requires no action, just information. Any questions so far? Finally, it is required that I do a fiscal indicator presentation. And so we're going to cover a couple of things here because this indicator is for the end of 2023 and we're closing out 2024 and we're embarking on 2025. And I explain each one to you individually because you want to make sure you understand the data and where it was at and where it's going and what goals we have reached in what time frame and how you will be able to progress through all of the things that the superintendent kind of explained to you tonight and understand the importance of where legislation goes from here. Okay? So, every year you see I've given you a hand copy so you don't have to turn around and look at the screen, but every budget I take these fiscal indicators because in your packet there is a link that you can go and look at the fiscal indicators. But if you don't know school finance, it's a little bit difficult to kind of understand what that is. So I take that data and I put it into the format of reports that you're used to that become customary to seeing so you understand it. So they do have an ADM history, but you're used to seeing this pretty red and blue chart so you can understand the differences. We have 2 counts a year. One in September and one in February, well, October, sometimes it says that they designate when that is, and in February. History has shown that our first count of every year is always higher than our second because if you have graduation, you're in a school that graduates move out, or there's transfers or whatever. So strategically when I'm doing a budget, I take a look at this history. So what you will see is what's actually logged on the fiscal indicator website is the information through 23. But I go on to tell you where we stand today. Because at the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you some really good news. So it's kind of related to this. So if you take a look, there's only one way a school district can make money. And that is strictly by students. We are not a profit area. We simply get this money from the state level. We are receiving about $7,300 per student. And as you notice in the graph, from the 23-24 to the 24-25, our enrollment goes up. Oh, if you recall, several years ago, we had a demographic study, and they had told us this was going to happen. Okay? And it's why we need to have the buildings that we have to accommodate. And it's why we have to reroute and reorganize our students, because this growth is going on all through the district. We are very, very proud of that, because we are now very attractive. Attractive because of our facilities, attractive because of our academics, attractive because of our teachers, attractive because of our leaders, attractive because of the community, attractive because of the county, attractive because of the southern part of Indiana where we are located. It is booming. We were warned, we're prepared. We heeded that, and we did 2 elementaries. Now we need another middle school. Now we need another elementary school. We needed to redo another and give a little more space and another elementary. We have to have swimming because our 5A school is growing. So you have the best of all worlds here. So this is kind of showing you where we're going. This caused us to increase our teacher population as well. The more students you get, the more students or teachers that you can have and need. So we're very pleased with this. We also know that our data is showing that we do have an increase in the ELL, so I have to listen to them on what programs they're doing and where they need, because I have to plan for that in the budget. Everything handshakes. So this shows you right here, if our enrollment's going up, every program that we have is going to increase. Our ELL, our special ed. We are polishing up all these programs to be more enhanced, to provide more services, because we've got more students with more needs. Okay?
Well, just to explain some of that data to you, too, if you go back to 2021, that was COVID. You know, in the state, basically, you were status quo on the year before in terms of your counts. They didn't do counts that year because of COVID. So when you really look at, say, from 2022 to 23 year to 24, I mean, in essence, we've gone up 320 students over a 3-year period. So, there's other data points out there that people look at. There's the migration report that just came out in the last week or 2. Greater Clark has always lost some students out of that migration report with school choice. Our rural population continues to grow. You know, if you go back 5-6 years ago when we looked at our strategic plan, how do we keep students in Greater Clark? One of the pillars of or issues that we needed to address was facilities. Obviously, programs and academics was another one, and also personnel. You know, in terms of salary, benefits, pay. You know, we feel like we've addressed those, and you're starting to see more kids choose Greater Clark as the community grows. And I think as we open new facilities make a difference. People can say whatever they want, but I'm sorry, facilities make a difference. You know, and I believe once we start opening these other new facilities, that will make a difference also. But we, you know, the last 3-4 years, we've seen growth.
Let me explain about the last 2 bars, because you're going to see where, well, Laura, you know, I see where you say that in February that count goes down. You had a year where it went up, which was last year, but you're still showing a lower number of 10,200 in that last bar, the blue one, way lower than what our enrollment is, and you're telling us that we're being attractive. That number stays there until I get to the real counts. Okay? And you will see that in the budget. Okay? So when I'm doing a budget, I have to take the average of those 2 assumptions, which when you are in a biennium, which means legislation come in, legislation comes in, you set a budget, state budget for a 2-year period, student formula that we're talking about. So I have to be conservative every time they hear funds away, always. So that number will change. Clearly, it should be at least closer to the 10,000 family students that we're seeing. So we got some good news there. Here, it's hard to see on the screen.
If you take a look back to 17, kind of follow the line there, 18, 19, and then in 20. Your superintendent and I had established our CFO superintendent relationship in 20. And it was a full court press. We challenged the board. We understood the seriousness of the situation of the district. There's no way this size district should be operating with a cash ending balance of nearly $100,000 in the two major funds. There's just no way. So the board accepted the challenge, and look at the results. You just take a look from 20 up to 23. Now, mind you, I'm not showing 24 just yet, but I will tell you where it's at off this sheet of paper. You have done and met the distress unit appeal board requirements by making sure that not only have you hit the threshold of 8 to 10% per fund, you have grown each year, which means that what you're implementing, whether it's building new facilities, maintaining facilities differently, programs, adding teachers, giving raises, that you are maintaining that growth. Remember, we said in the beginning that $6.7 million just for education fund was our base. We never really want to go below that because at the time that was your 10% of your education fund. Okay? So you have met that base, but now what has happened is I've increased your budget because we've increased the number of teachers, number of expenses. I've given more in supply lines than I've ever have every year, and we're still maintaining. So what you like to see is always just a little bit growth in that every year because you're proving to the state that we know what we're doing. We're unified. We have a commitment to the money in the classroom. We make sure we talk with our teachers. We negotiate fairly with our teachers. So, we're showing how a financially distressed school can survive. And you've developed that story right here with this 5 years. In addition to this, you'll get a sheet on this one later. You can take a look, if you can't really tell which colors and which numbers belong to each fund. But I broke down by education, operating, and rainy day. Let's just take a look at rainy day. So you remember that $2.399 million? You minus $1.2 million out of that because that belonged to the health insurance fund, self-health insurance fund. So you were going south on your rainy day. So by the end of 23, we were able to reserve funds to get the district into the level of this size district should be. Rainy day is for rainy day. What we use it for is that cash just sits there, so if we ever have to incur expenses till we get reimbursed, i.e. federal funds, that federal stimulus package was $8 million. We could have spent that and then got our reimbursement. I would have had to carry $8 million. If we would have went back to 2019, back to 2020, no way. No way could I carried $8 million. Right now, you will see on the 28th that I'm carrying the middle school reimbursement. We have to move. We're paying people to get the design. We're trying to get that going because we need that done. We need that school. And so, pay people to do that work. And when I get that bond money in, you do a resolution to get reimbursed. That's why you do it, because I can carry it, because I have that money sitting there. So if you look to the right, where our 24 projections are, like I said, it's always good to increase a little. After all the transfers, remember budget time, I ask for money that's required out of education to come down to operation. Those are transfers. I also protect your health insurance fund transfers. So after all those transfers, if approved by resolution, this is why I call it projected, on the 28th, your education fund will be $10,236,000 plus. Now, you ended last year at 8.390. So you are, after transfers, moving up. This again allows us to put funds back in classroom. Now, mind you, I've increased your budget in the 25 budget. You're going to see it in supplies. Supplies went up by a percentage, right? We've given teachers a good raise over the last 4 to 5 years. We intend on meeting with them seriously about talking about their next contract, which is due now, right? We will be talking through that this summer. So that's what our intention is as a unit. You know. Our operations fund, if you look, like 23, it was 7.332 million. You'll be ending that with 9,037,000. Contributing factors. We had some serious issues with our buildings. So our bonds are paying for a lot of corrections from, 30 years of having a hard struggle on maintaining your buildings does not cure in a night or 2 or 5 years. Something's always going on. So we are repairing as fast as we can. But what also contributes to this very fast is the fact that you think of maintaining your facilities differently. Again, the decisions that you made may have felt tough at a certain point, but here it is. Here's your baby. You've done the right thing. And then your rainy day. We agreed that $10 million would be okay for this high school district. If you recall, during budget, I said between 12 and 16 million is where you should be. When we can, we will. From this point forward, we will get you at $12 million. 12 million to 16. Look at there, you hit a check mark. Not only have you hit that check mark, but your superintendent promised the world that we were going to stay at $1.10 for 5 years. Proud to tell you, in 25, you get $1.10 again. So you're doing and creating your data correctly. Right? We're very proud of you on that.
That's incredible. I don't know that we did anything. Well, we did something.
You did something. You did something.
We did some things,
Yeah.
because I was there in
I think it's important.
2017.
You go back to that 2018, 2019 year, we were probably as a district 1 year away from being taken over. from the
Yeah.
city. I mean, and to grow our cash balances and rainy day fund while also moving teacher pay, starting pay from 40,000 to 50,000 is a great achievement to accomplish this.
Keeping the benefits under control. But one thing I already know, and Samantha knows this because I say it every time, jeez, I hate giving money and turning around and saying your health insurance. And going, well, that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it does those too. You give me $1 and it costs me $1.25 for health insurance. I get you. And then everybody's entourage, we will make sure that that's taken care of as long as we can. Now, we already know that there's things that can be out of our control, but that's what we strive as a committee to do, right? We strive to get there where I don't want to sit here and raise something 50% and you only got 2% in your paycheck. Well, that just about kills me, and I can't hardly take that. So that is something I'm really tight on. That committee knows that. They know, oh boy, here we go. We're talking about rates. That's what we're going to lecture on. I do, because I don't want us to ever, that's why there's transfers going in there. I don't ever want to do that. I don't want to give my teachers a 2% raise and raise my insurance 6%. And that's even low projections for what other school districts are having to do. They're having to raise their health insurance 18 to 22%. Woo, I don't want to do that. If I ever have to, everybody's going to know that before we do it, right? We're going to be prepared. So what I want to say to all of this is that even though it looks very good, we still need to pay attention to what's coming down the pike with what our legislators. So we really need to pay attention. They're fighting really hard. All of our associations, School Board Association, School Business, Superintendents, individually your superintendent does a fantastic job of having those common sense conversations with our representation here. And so they can clearly understand what the impact is and great suggestions on how to move forward. There's a lot to consider when we're doing this, not to go overboard because we have to be prepared for that. As long as you're prepared, we will maintain this trajectory that we're doing. So this one's a little bit harder to understand. Right? This talks about deficits and surplus overall for all funds, not just the at least the 3 major funds I've been showing: education, operation, and rainy day. This is all your funds, from federal funds, state funds, things I want you to remember that was in place, stimulus, right? We also had general obligation bonds that came in. You received, general obligation bonds are received into your financial system. And then as work's performed, then you pay for them. Unlike the lease rental, which sits over and the trustee has to prove all of that. I'm the representation for the trustee. I tell them this is the work that's been done. The trustee approves it and they pay it out there. That's somewhere else, right? That's on its own account. It's in the bond report I give you. But you no longer have those GO bonds. Plus, we paid off some debts, our common school loans, some of our GO bonds, we refinanced. So if it looks like that our surplus, which is simply revenues minus expenses, not your cash balance. Cash balance is not in this calculation. That's how come it looks like we went from 27 million down to 3.5 million. So it's just the revenues for that year minus expenses that gets you to that level. I rest assured I proved to you where your cash balance is. That's not reflected in any deficit or surplus. It's just a snapshot of that.
I always thought this one was the easiest.
You would think.
As long as the green bar is higher than the blue bar.
That's right, that's right. But we look like that we dropped off so much, but I didn't need as much revenue for debts, we didn't get revenues for our stimulus packages, ESSER, better known as ESSER. Some of our grants that, we hadn't finished, some of our local grants, some of our donation, that we had some pretty nice donations for different projects. Those, spin out and stuff, so that just kind of went a little bit closer. And you can't keep the money out of that. You gotta spend your money sometimes, and that's what we're here for. On this next report, it just shows you fund balances as a percent of expenditures. Our fund balance can cover up to 28.5% of our expenditures at any given moment. This is optimal. 30% is actually perfect. The state DUAB asked me one time that said, well, why don't you have 30%? I said, well, you give me my money that's sitting up there, yeah, I'll take it, and I can make it 30%. But, that takes a lot of increase in student funding, so I think we're doing very well, considering where we were at before. At any given moment, we could only pay 2.9% of our expenses in 1 year, at any given moment. 2.9%. That was at 19. 2.9%. Now, in your education fund alone, 90% of your budget is salary and benefits. 2% doesn't cover very much of that. So, yeah, at least I could cover some payrolls here. If the state decided not to give me money, I'm going to show you what they do, but how much they give you. This one, I not included before, this is pretty funny to look at. The bottom color, which I call pink, salmon, I don't know, is strictly just your taxpayer money. The reason why that looks a little bigger in 23 is only because the property values went up. That's it. Remember, you stayed at $1.10. We didn't increase anything. That's how much money comes from your local folks. You living here, right? Me living here. This is what we contribute to operate our schools. From the top to the purple, state, federal. So, is it just Laura trying to figure out how to make sure the tax rate stays at $1.10? It is Kim with her grants, right? And everybody supports her with that. My entire office, right? My entire office, because they're managing all of the building corp money, all of the payments, all the purchase orders, all the appropriation, all the reporting, all of those things. We have got an HR department. Oh my Lord. Are they paid out of the right category because they have to count towards the 62%? That's a requirement. You're required to spend the salary and benefits 62% of your state funds on full-time teachers. Period. You can't count somebody who's a counselor who's just as important as a full-time teacher. Your superintendent's paid out of the operation fund. He's the one making all the decisions. So there's a lot of misconception about what we do with our state money. We definitely push it right back into the classroom. I think our teachers can kind of say that we do, like Mark said, went from $40,000 to $50,000 within with 2 contracts, wasn't it? We've only done 2 contracts since I've been here, so we've done pretty good with that. And that state money, there's requirements of what you got to do, so that's why there's so many regulations. They want to say, so how do you roll with the school? So therefore, if you're deficit financing, you're not doing well, you see why they're coming in, because they're giving you more than 70 to 75% of your revenue. You're only getting about 25 to 30% revenue from your local tax. And then finally, here's your good news. Your assessed value grew just a smidgen. When I did the 25 budget, it's a guessing game. So when I did the advertised assessed value, I used the assessed value of $4,827,552. This number I'm pretty excited about because it's hard to get this guess in. And it came in at $4,832,327. I gotta say, it's the first time I've ever done that. 25 years I've done budgets. I've got close, but not this close. This is like one of those where you win both showcases, you know? Yeah. So I'm going to brag about that, but I mean, that's just rare to have a proud sit every time. But there's a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion, a lot of study. We kind of knew, a lot of people pushed back and said, Laura, even policy analytics, who I love them and adore them and are always right on a lot of things, I kind of pushed them and said, with what I know that's going on, the 6% growth is not it. We grew 8%. So I went with that route, and there's your result. So we're really close on how our budget went in, so close that every single appropriated dollar that I asked for was approved. So that's fantastic. Yes. So you can see, if you look at the bottom, let's talk about the appropriation, what I advertised, but you're going to say, Laura, every single dollar you asked for was approved, but if you look straight at debt, it said 50-some-odd million, and you got 36 million, okay? Remember, I have to advertise high. So I can accommodate any fluctuation in assessed value. So I load that one up. So if there's anything goes up there that I'm not aware of and advertise high, I can always bring it down. The last thing you want me to do is advertise too low, because that's all I can get. That's the maximum you can get, right? So the higher the assessed value, the lower your rate. So if I always come in and advertise at $1.10 and that assessed value keeps going, shoot, that goes way down. I can't go. So I go the opposite. Advertise high, I bring it right down to $1.10, and I cut that debt right there. Okay? You will end up at $1.10. Congratulations. That was a lot of work to get there to understand these 2 rates. Remember, you paid off your pension fund, so now you have only 2 taxing funds, debt and operations, and further, there is a maximum levy that you can only charge in your operations fund. So when people say that there's no limit, schools are just going and taxing, always in the history, always, when it was general fund, capital projects, transportation, bus replacement, there was always a cap, always. Constitution came in with circuit breaker, capped it again. Divided the funds, capped it again with max levy growth. So even if we grow, let's say I projected the 4.8 million and it went up to 10 million. I can only get 4% of that. I cannot go get it all. So we have caps all over the place. Keep that in mind. If you don't understand what we're talking about, there's limits all over the place. Circuit breaker, maximum growth, right? Overall tax rate, because you know if you hit a certain tax rate in debt, it becomes a whole different story. So plan on trying to keep you as close to the $1.10 as we can. Remember that statement. We've committed to 5 years. You made your goals. You made all your goals now. No TAWs. Remember, that's all we asked for? $1.10. Out of deficit financing, positive cash balance, and you hit the $12 million mark in your rainy day fund. This speaks very elementary schools. I don't know how to convey to you how all eyes are here. Every movement that is going on, once the 24 numbers are released, and what we're doing for our teachers, what we're doing construction-wise, what we're doing academically, what we're doing with our federal funds, how significant this is for the state of Indiana. See if I'm right in a couple of years, see if they come back. So that is my required presentation. The only one I'm required to give every year, but I will be trying to keep going anytime you want.
Laura, I just want to add, this page right here is what we really need to be paying attention to in the state legislature. I think there's already been about 10 property tax reform proposals, bills that are up for hearings and discussion. You know, and we need to pay close attention to what the state is going to do with all the things that Laura just discussed, because it will have an impact on us. Hopefully it's a revenue neutral impact, but I have a feeling, you know, I mean, our new governor has already stated he wants to cap assessed value growth at either 2% or 3%. So, I mean, if that passes and goes through, there will be no more 8% growth or 10, 11% growth.
That's why it's important for you to build your rainy day fund. That's why you have to transfer all this stuff and get it where you need to be, because that may not be depending on a biennial result. Budget and legislation. So I have to be ready for that. So if anybody wants to talk about why you're transferring that in there, I'm going to be up front. We should transfer 1.4 million out of the other funds into rainy day. We're telling you why.
And I think anytime you're around a legislator, you know, when they want to talk property taxes, you have to ask them, all right, I'm all for cutting property taxes, but how are you going to replace that revenue to the local entities? You know, what's the plan for that? Unfortunately, you don't hear too much from them about that. You have to fight for that. So.
And it will affect everyone. If they talk about property, it will affect fire, police. It's not just schools.
Yeah.
Because they don't just say, oh, you know, the growth in assessed value only affects schools, then because there's no way. Where do they stop for just schools, and where do they let it go for just fire or police? So yeah, it's very important. I would always preach this, and I think Samantha will correct me. I mean, her association definitely, they make their presence be known, and they're always up there, you know, lobbying and talking, and she'll let us know here's what they're hearing, you know what I mean? And then I always say, Samantha will go, this is what ISO's saying, and, you know, so then she'll go, we do a lot of research together on that. So, yeah, we,
Laura, I read, and I thought it was Todd Houston that said it, that school corporations better be ready, because not only may we not get more, we may have to take some away.
Oh, I've looked at that before, but you know what happens then? You have to establish the stretch student appeal board. You can take it over school districts. Schools right now, I know of four, that one especially, that is on the line. What are they going to do with them? Where are they going to get the money to take care of them?
Yeah.
Right? So much money is going to other areas related to non-public schools, not to us, not to public schools.
Right. Yeah.
So we got to decide what we want to invest our money in, state of Indiana or what? Because we want our students to come back here. We want people to come to Indiana. I mean, look what we're offering here in, you know, Southeast Indiana, for goodness sakes. So that's the things that they got to really understand. What are you investing in? What do you want to not, or, you know, do you invest in? I mean, that's, if you want something going to get a return, we're showing the data of return. You stay status quo, let me show you how it works. You know, give us more, we'll show you better. You know, I don't know what to tell them, you know, so, yeah, it's important, it's important. We preach it all the time to everybody. Mark does in cabinet, it's like, well, legislature said this, oh, Lord, here we go, we know. You know, but he never lets us forget, because we have to talk the talk, you know, we gotta understand what impact it's gonna be. But I just appreciate the support of the board through it, because it gives us the confidence to go and say, hey, look, no, don't do that. Because this is the impact on us, and this is what we're able to do. This is, when I say unification of the board behind the mission, you create your own data. Remember, I came in and said I can show you data, where if you don't do that, what happens? Right? You just said 4 schools. Get ready in on that, all right? One especially. Look, here's your data. I'm not just telling you, oh, here's your data on the board gels and unifies behind the mission of the school, right? Look what you can do. So you have to take some credit for that. You have to be proud of that. You know, yeah, we do function of it, but you know, there's a vote. There's a vote, and it comes at the recommendation of the board or the superintendent. You know, and we present it, and there's a vote. So if you understand why you're doing it, and you see the results, then you can have confidence in what you're doing, and glad that you got reelected and that you ran for the board, and that you remain on board with it. It's important for the school district, it's important to our students that you still remain. I've said that from day one. So, if there's no other questions, I'll be seated, but Chelsea, sorry to bombard you like that, just kind of introduce you. I kind of, you know, the board, I always kind of, for the rest that have been through it, I kind of repeat it. They know it, but then they're reminded, and then when they see the data, they can relate it. You learn it the first time, believe me, once I'm done with the budget presentation, you'll still have questions. Well, hopefully not, but more and more boards you'll understand, I promise you. It's important. If not, of course, you'll always learn. No other questions, I'll be seated.
Thank you for all this, and certainly at this point in time, I'm going to call this finance meeting to a close.
All right.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
you all
you.
for hanging around. We're done.